Pam Bondi in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday and was asked about the Epstein files, the reporting about Trump being named. Here is Dick Durbin questioning her about it. We played some of this yesterday. I think it was Sheldon Whitehouse that was asking her about the investigation or where the cash went that
$50,000 in a kava bag to Tom Homan as part of FBI sting operation. And then apparently once Trump won the White House, they looked into it and actually everything was fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine that Tom Homan, their new border czar, took $50,000 from an undercover FBI agent and we don't know where it went. And she just didn't answer questions and just stare blank face. And that's the value of putting them under oath, honestly, because it is, these are such like historic Olympic liars that you catch moments like this when they know that they could get in trouble if they lie.
Well, again, just to point that out for folks who didn't follow, like the question wasn't that White House asked did the FBI later decide that it was all a huge waste of time and that actually Tom Homan was a perfectly upstanding individual, because that's what they did do. But the question was, where's the $50,000 now?
Right.
And that is something she did not want to answer under oath, just like the White House question of, Senator White House question of, that evidence that has publicly been mentioned in reporting about including Trump with scantily clad women at Jeffrey Epstein parties. Did you find that? And she said, "How dare you, sir?"
Yes, yeah. She clutched her pearls and she was offended.
But didn't say no.
Yes, they all went to the Brett Kavanaugh school of indignance when being cornered on things. Let's see if she tries this again. Another Epstein-related question by Dick Durbin.
Going back to the Epstein files, according to another whistleblower who made a protected disclosure to my office, you pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memo stating, quote, "There's no incriminating client list." Why was the July 7th memo unsigned?
The July 7th memo came from the FBI and the Department of Justice. Director Patel answered those questions very clear. And, you know, Senator Durbin, I find it very interesting that you refused repeated Republican requests to release the Epstein flight logs in 2023 and 2024. You fought that. Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations, who was a huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years? Why did you fight?
I would just say, like, why did you do that thing as opposed to the thing you're doing now, which is to use your office to compel these documents to be released?
Yeah. She just basically refuses to answer. Let's keep going for just a little bit longer.
How come you speed sometimes? Like, I don't know.
I mean, the definition of a whataboutism, but she's under oath, so she can't tell the truth.
She can't say no or yes in a way that might put her in risk for perjury.
In 2023 and 2024, you fought that. Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations, who was a huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years? Why did you fight to not disclose the flight logs, Senator Durbin?
I can tell you I did not refuse. One of the senators here wished to produce those logs, and I asked her to put it in writing, and she never did.
Yeah, I think Senator Blackburn would quarrel with you on that.
Well, I will quarrel with you as to Reid, somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
Something simple as
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually you're going to have.
Wait, that's not even, you have to.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm not going to discuss anything about that. You're being asked.
That's private, sir.
Right.
What? I'm not going to discuss that with you. This is, I mean, very obviously she knows, and everyone should know, that she's just avoiding making specific statements that could be perjurous.
And this is the second time that we've played that she's tried the whole Reid Hoffman angle. I mean, Look, no love for Reid Hoffman here. He was a huge reason that Kamala Harris kind of, lost that election. He was a part of the abundance directioning of her campaign and is now behind the Abundance Fest and all of this like centrist rebrand in the Democratic Party. So no fans here. But the idea that you couldn't say, oh, Republican donors. How many Republican donors have connections to Jeffrey Epstein if this is the standard that we're setting here, let alone the president of the United States and the head of your party?
The truth is, as somebody who's followed the Epstein thing since like 2008, the primaries, I've started hearing about the Lolita Express. I've actually been surprised by how much the Democrats have, been on this scent this time because they have been avoidant of pursuing this. There's the famous Christine Pelosi tweet where I think the shift had been starting back when Epstein was arrested, where she said some of our faves may be implicated, but we need to follow the evidence where it lies. They're actually doing that now. And so you can point to the guilt by association stuff, but you can't distract from their actual actions on this, which is they want all this stuff out. And in fact, Mike Johnson isn't seating representatives because if they get in office, they will be able to use the power to compel this stuff.
Yep.
President Trump. To flag, read somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Ooh, Dick Durbin getting spicy because that's what because they are referring lock her up. They are referring to a subpoena, right? And there's no evidence here. Like, this is not a part of an ongoing investigation. They could declassify, they could release any of this stuff whenever they wanted. But we played that clip yesterday of Howard Lutnick getting all giddy because he got to brag about not being an Epstein-associated pedophile.
I'm not in the tape that definitely exists that the government I work for is covering up.
Yeah, and then realized it later. He said that
just talking.
He said that Epstein gave over his blackmail in exchange for the incredibly lenient sentence and the non-prosecution agreement that protected Ghislaine Maxwell and his other associates. Again, unheard of. A Department of Justice saying we will proactively handcuff ourselves from investigating this major criminal sex ring outside of Epstein. Lutnick claimed that he traded information for that sentence, which sounds like espionage to me, which has been the running theory on him having ties to intelligence and the blackmail being very valuable to very powerful people. Like, spy work isn't Carmen Sandiego or whatever. It's this dirty shit. And it would make total sense if Epstein was involved in that. So that's why they're so afraid, of Grijalva getting sworn in the House, because she's that 218th vote on the discharge petition, and then Congress could start to actually compel information.
2008, Epstein received a lenient plea deal in Florida. It resulted in just 13 months in county jail for charges of listening to soliciting prostitution for minors. When Bond
weekends off.
Exactly.
You got to go home for the weekends.
Yep. When do business stuff. When Bondi took office in 2011, victims were challenging the non-prosecution agreement in court. They filed lawsuits to invalidate certain provisions and claimed abuse during his work release programs. Despite these efforts, Bondi reportedly kept her distance from the case. So, interesting person to be fielding some of these questions.
Very interesting.
I mean, how we have a Norwegian prison system just for our pedophiles.
Yeah.
Exactly, like Anders Breivik.
Right.
Let's give him the Anders Breivik treatment.
Non-violent drug offenders, you can rot into jail if you can't make bail and then maybe die in there due to horrible conditions. I mean, those things actually happen. So once Grijalva gets sworn in, it will be quite interesting because then they will have some sort of legal responsibility to release this kind of information. But that means the discharge petition still has to get to a floor vote, and that's another hurdle. But Republicans want to avoid that because they don't want the general public knowing, oh, you're the vote that said don't release the Epstein files once this discharge petition got around Mike Johnson, who's been blocking it, and blocking Grijalva from being sworn in a very obvious way to cover it up. So I also like Durbin read out loud, I think, their claim that there's no credible client list. Is that what he said? No credible client list?
Not sure.
Oh, in that clip.
In that clip we just played.
Yeah.
But like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison for sex trafficking. The Trump administration is claiming, despite all of the evidence and all of the victims saying otherwise, that she was just trafficking for Jeffrey Epstein. That betrays all of the facts, but that's the claim that they're making. And then when they talk about a client list, they say there's no credible client list. Interesting.
They all become Tim Robinson characters when they're testifying too.
I'm not stupid. I'm smarter than you.
Well, that even had her accent.
Is that Patty
you.
Henderson? Oh God, she's so funny. Oh. Matt found the I think you should leave soundboard again.
Anytime one of these guys has to testify, that's what I think of. It's like, what? No, I didn't.
Because they're all doing the indignant Kavanaugh thing because they're lying. They have nothing else except to perform anger.
Yeah, it's like the most obvious evasiveness of like a 4-year-old that has like fudge all over their face, acting like they didn't eat a cupcake.
Exactly.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.